and now the public can come down here when they see fit and enjoy the river.
It's been proven time and time again in other locations. When these installations go in, this infrastructure is created, people use them, people come, they desire them, they visit the areas, and a lot of times it leads to them staying longer in an area as well. So if they're staying longer, they're going to be at our restaurants, they're going to visit our shops.
Last week, an art trail. This week, a river trail. Welcome to Pocono Mountains Podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Jim Hamill. This is Season 4, Episode 23. We have shared time and time again the efforts to develop trails along the Lackawaxen River in Wayne and Pike counties. And now, that is a reality. A third public access has been created, this time in a magnificent way in Honesdale, taking a rundown, condemned property and transforming it into a river park and access for all people with all abilities. Sycamore Point Park is being finished as we speak, with a restroom, picnic tables, ADA parking, and more. Plus that river boat launch where paddlers can put in, then take out downriver in White Mills or Hawley. More on that in a bit. The Poconos is a year-round destination for millions, with 2,400 square miles of mountains, forests, lakes, and rivers, with historic downtowns and iconic family resorts. It's the perfect getaway. You can always find out more on PoconoMountains.com or watch PTN, the Pocono Television Network, streaming live 24/7. Now back to the episode. The Lackawaxen River Trails have been featured on PTN with extensive segments detailing all the planned and existing trails. Last year, it was the new White Mills River Access Park that was dedicated in October. Now, Sycamore Point Park in Honesdale will be unveiled the middle of next month, but is open for people to use and enjoy now. We spoke with several folks who were instrumental in it happening for an upcoming segment on Pocono Mountains Magazine. Enjoy. Hi, everyone. It's Jim Hamill here with Pocono Mountains Podcast on a beautiful September day. It's nearly shifting to fall, and we're outdoors here along the Lackawaxen River at the confluence with the Dyeberry Creek, and I'm with the chairman of the Wayne County Board of Commissioners, Brian Smith. Brian, you have now taken what has been a county property for not terribly long, but really close to the courthouse and here downtown Honesdale, and transformed it into this beautiful Sycamore Point Park. You must be beaming with pride with this baby here, practically complete now.
Yeah, it really is. It's a bookend to Honesdale, I think, and it's taken a building that was, destroyed and was literally falling into the river. We had an engineer that put a grid on that building and was watching it move, so we knew it was falling into the river. So before it got to the point where we had a big disaster on our hands, and I would like to say that building was owned by the hospital. The property was owned by the hospital, and the hospital agreed to turn it over to us with the agreement that they'd be recognized for that donation. And what a great donation, right? So between taking the building down and the piece of property that we had here and making some additional parking and making a beautiful bookend of town, making a boat ramp so that people can, not only fish there, but put their kayaks in there, and it's paved all the way down, and a handicap accessible walkway on the river where people and handicapped people can park if necessary to unload their wheelchair and go down in. I mean, I can't even tell you how happy I am that this actually came to fruition. It was in the planning stages for a long time. DCNR, a lot of different partners, and a lot of grant money was put into this. And I've taken some heat over the last couple of years of grant money's tax dollars too, right? And it is. But if we can use them here, we're going to use them here, and we're going to make some beautiful things out of that. Because if you don't take advantage of these grants, then they go other places, and other places take advantage of that. So, I'm just proud as punch that we had so many people that worked together, and the Trails Alliance, right? And the trails that we're working on in Wayne County. And, actually I want to talk a little bit about the Army Corps of Engineers. If you go up to Prompton State Park is actually more beautiful than it's ever been. Yeah. They've agreed now to pave some of the dirt parking lots. They're going to put a permanent latrine in up there so people have a place to go to the bathroom. It's not just a porta-johny. So, some big improvements here in Wayne County, I think, and based around the outdoors. And one of the things that drove people's interest in the outdoors is COVID. Let's get outdoors, let's recreate, and let's keep our distance a little bit. But you want to know what? It's kind of getting back to my roots, because I played in this river as a kid. Yeah. I played in a lot of creeks and streams as a kid around the county, and I got to tell you that it just does my heart good to to see people sitting here and down by the river and enjoying the outdoors once again and having such a beautiful spot. So I want to thank everybody that was involved.
Well, great work to you guys. I know that we've all been kind of hoping to see this day come to fruition. And now that it's finally here, we have a event for middle of October planned to dedicate this space for the use for so many years to come. But it's part of this trail network that you've already kind of jumped into as a county and worked with other landowners to create the White Mills launch. There's the Indian Orchard one that's going to be worked on as well, so that you have all these put in points along the Lackawaxen River so that people can come from near and far to do the Lackawaxen and stop into White Mills and the steeped in history traditions there of glass making, etc. Go down to Hawley and stay at some of the nice hospitality, properties that we have there. So really, I think that's a vision that you guys should be commended on for working with all the different partners to take advantage of what we have here. And that's a Lackawaxen River, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, that vision really is standing on the backs of some other people, So I've talked to a lot of people over the years. I've vacationed in different places. I fish in Pulaski, New York, where they have a river trail, and they put that in up there, and it's a beautiful spot. And that's really where originally I got the idea for the river trail up behind the Park Street complex.
Right.
And again, that just cleaned that up and made it so beautiful and nice, and you can go there and really enjoy the river now. And for years and years, there was a fence around that playground. There was ivy on the fence.
It was my elementary school. And
right.
We never knew the river was there.
And the river was a jungle, but it's all cleaned up now, and thanks to people like some of our, hard workers that come from our correctional facility, our maintenance guys went in there, some young folks came down and really cleaned it up. It's just, the more attention you pay to the outdoors and the better you clean it up, the more likable it is for people and the more apt people are to take advantage of that. So, we got a lot of great things going on in Wayne County, and I am very, very proud of that.
As you should be. And we'll leave it, I guess, maybe just with this one point, too. I think that you guys have been really intentional, too, about this not just being like a beautification project, but also an economic development tool. When you look at the various projects that are coming off the ground here, creating trails, that drives tourism. And I know that you're, a big supporter of that industry as well here in Wayne County.
Well, so, I grew up on trails, too. I've recreated on other people's property forever. Some people don't like that, but some people buy right into that. I belong to a snowmobile club that rides snowmobiles through a snowmobile trail network. I don't currently belong, but I probably will again, to the Northeast Snow Trails in northern Wayne County. I've been on those railroad beds with side-by-sides and snowmobiles and bicycles and my vehicle. So, there's just so much you can do with outdoor recreation when people begin to work together and allow you to have a trail system. And there's places where, people don't want a trail system, and we'll stay away from that. Certainly not out here to try to rub people the wrong way, but trying to do just what's right for our county and to enhance, like you say, tourism and our ability to recreate outside.
Good stuff. Brian Smith with the Commissioners. I'm excited to see not just the ribbon cutting, but also we're going to be talking to Dan Corrigan a little bit. He's going to be leading the first ever river sojourn on the Lackawaxen Columbus Day weekend. So that's really exciting, too, to see these places put into action after they're finished. And it's been a long time coming, but great work.
It's all awesome.
Thanks, Commissioner. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Hi, everyone. Jim Hamill here, right next to the Lackawaxen River and the Dyeberry Creek, the confluence here in Honesdale at Sycamore Point Park, where we just spoke with Commissioner Brian Smith. But now we're speaking with Dan Corrigan with Northeast Wilderness Experience, Sawmill Cycles, and Dan's been a huge advocate and one of the catalysts for getting this project off the ground for Lackawaxen River Trails. Dan, you must be thrilled to see what has happened here, this transformation right here in our hometown.
And thank you, James, for having me. It is fantastic. We are super excited about this. Something that was kind of in the works for some years as far as thoughts and ideas around it, and we finally had the platform to do it. The access is going in, the infrastructure here, the excitement around the river. We're really excited to put this event together and get it out there and get some people on the water, get them on the Lackawaxen and enjoy this beautiful, beautiful waterway.
Yeah, you do excursions out on the Delaware River, all summer long. Now you have this infrastructure, as you mentioned, that's in place, these take out, put in points along the Lackawaxen in Honesdale, in White Mills, in Hawley, and we're going to have one in Indian Orchard. So that's 4 locations in which you can access, the public can access from an ADA standpoint, and we can also then have these these nodes along which we can maybe someday even build a land trail alongside the railroad too. So the excitement is pretty potent, especially for people in your industry, the outdoor recreation industry, right?
Yeah, we're excited about it. It hopefully will invite a lot of other people into the area also to really enjoy this asset that we have. As the idea behind it, develop some really good recreational infrastructure in Honesdale that when people are coming here to visit, they have things to do. They have something to do while they're here. Really enjoy the area and appreciate the beauty. We're absolutely fortunate to have this. As you said before, I do program a lot on the Upper Delaware, and it's an amazing river. It's a beautiful corridor to go through, and this is a direct tributary to that river. So, pristine quality waters both on the Delaware and then the Lackawaxen. We're very, very fortunate to have that. And, the wildlife along this way. What I like about the Lackawaxen is it's a smaller river, so it's a bit more intimate. So you do get closer to wildlife. You get a little bit more interaction in that sense. The Delaware is beautiful as well. It's just a bigger river. So this waterway really, really lends itself to closer interactions and a lot more personal interactions with, nature as you're going through. And it's just a great asset. And the idea of having these different access points really lends itself to giving people the opportunity and option to choose the type of river trip they want. When you only have one access point or no access points, it's really hard to kind of plan those trips and plan your day out. If you only have a couple hours to go on the river, you're going to be able to put in at Indian Orchard, take out at White Mills, have a nice short river trip. If you want a longer river trip, you can go from here down to White Mills or Indian Orchard. Then if you want the longer one, right down to Bingham Park. So the amount of options that we have now are going to really, really help people plan trips, and I hopefully have a lot more usership of the river because of the accessibility.
We've been down quite a few years ago, I think, pre-JC's canoe race, to kind of scope things out. But, you are the first to point out, hey, there's these bald eagles' nests, in certain sections of the river here. There's wildlife along the river banks, like deer, bear, etc. And you really get to connect between these towns and these historical points too, right? You get to point out, hey, this is where the D&H Canal, went through and carried all that coal many years ago. So there's a historical context too, right, along that journey down through our heritage.
Yeah, sure. There's tons of points. Again, the natural assets and things that you get to see: eagles' nests, green heron, kingfishers, ducks. I mean, the wildlife is amazing, but historically it's great too. There's a lot of existing canal walls that run along the Lackawaxen that you get to enjoy. Get to see some of the old lock areas. You can even stop at the backside of Lock 31 as well if you want. You can walk in from the backside of the property, enjoy Lock 31 trails as well. So there are a lot of opportunities to immerse yourself both in nature and in history as you go along the water trail. So we're super excited to promote that, and again, have these accesses that we can enjoy that.
You guys, in particular, you have really spearheaded this effort to have this first ever sojourn then on the Lackawaxen. This story will air the beginning of October, so really it'll be speaking to the fact that, this is the first activation of this network then. You're hoping to have dozens of paddlers out here, really for the first year of many to come, enjoying this river, these launches, and then the presentations that they get to have and a camp out overnight and maybe some whitewater.
Yeah, we're really excited about the sojourn. We have some great presentations that are lined up with it. This will be next year is the 30th anniversary of the Delaware River Sojourn, and this is our 15th year of being involved in that program. So that was really a lot of the inspiration behind the layout and how the Sojourn is going to run. That has been hugely successful over the years of Delaware Sojourn, and we're hoping the same for this mini Sojourn. Shorter paddles, shorter days, but different types of water. First day is all going to be flat, wreck water that we're going to be in, some little riffles, tiny little rapids. Next day, we're going to enjoy the lower Lackawaxen, which offers some great whitewater. The second day is going to be all in rafts, mandatory use of rafts. But again, this river offers some really dynamic paddling and different types of paddling, which we're excited to highlight. And I think what's going to be a great opportunity with the Sojourn too is to really promote responsible recreation. Same thing with the Delaware River. All the banks pretty much along the Lackawaxen are private property, and that's got to be respected. When there are formal accesses, people know where to go, where to take out, what to do. There's signage. There's an opportunity for them to learn how to use these waterways responsibly. Yeah. So the idea is if you do pull over on the side of the river for a little break, you respect that. You stay on the river banks. You don't venture off into properties, and use those corridors and use the rest areas. They have bathrooms, they have areas, so you can plan your trip around, hey, if we want to take a break for lunch, we're going to stop in White Mills or Indian Orchard. We know there's bathroom there. We know there's this. So having that infrastructure really, really promotes responsible recreation on the corridor. I'm always going to promote life jacket use, even though it's a pretty docile waterway. Anytime we're in, on, or near water, we want to be in life jackets. So that's another great, component of this is there's going to be signage and understanding of, again, responsible recreation.
I think, lastly, what I really think we should touch upon here is not only are we creating accessible accesses for people of all different mobilities, people of all walks of life who want to, fish here, who want to just, commune with nature, but also too, aren't we kind of like betting big on outdoor recreation as an economic development tool, right? I mean, you employ people, you have this seasonal business here that relies on people locally and from outside the area coming in and either getting you as an outfitter, getting you as somebody who can navigate and guide down through the river. That's a boon to the local economy, is it not?
Sure. And it's been proven time and time again in other locations. When these installations go in, this infrastructure is created, people use them, people come, they desire them, they visit the areas. And a lot of times it leads to them staying longer in an area as well. So if they're staying longer, they're going to be at our restaurants, they're going to visit our shops. I've always been a big advocate of inviting people here to play and enjoy the area. And as a response to that, they're going to visit our shops, they're going to visit our eateries while they're here because they need to do something else, outside of the program itself. So, again, these type of installs really, really, the hope behind it is that it does stimulate economic development in the area. It stimulates growth. And again, appreciate what we have. We have some beautiful natural assets in this area. And for so long, they have not necessarily been ignored, but they haven't been highlighted. So we want that. I mean, just behind us, we have Irving Cliff. We have trail systems that are behind us. It's a beautiful view over the town of Honesdale. I mean, WNEP, I know they have the camera up on top of there that they have, that they show in the mornings. So it's a beautiful place to recreate. You can walk, you can paddle, you can ride bikes. There's a lot to do it. And the motivation behind this group, Lackawaxen River Trails, is to really, really get behind that development of recreational infrastructure to support the area, to help growth in the area, and to give people something to do in a safe way.
Dan Corrigan of Niwi, Sawmill Cycles, and the Lackawaxen River Trails. You're even an original Honesdale River Project representative there from back when really this was, a thought and a vision, and now it's the reality. It's exciting.
We're excited. I think we're going on 8-9 years from when we kind of started these conversations getting going. So what we've been able to accomplish in that time is amazing. Support from groups like you, yourself. We're really, really fortunate and excited to have this.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us here on the podcast.
Thank you.
Hey guys, Jim Hamill here, again back at Sycamore Point on a different day where we wanted to meet up with the designer of Sycamore Point Park, Jason Wood of Woodland Design Associates. Jason, this has been a long-running effort, not just Lackawaxen River Trails and the various river launches, but this specific site. And having grown up here, known just how rough this property was and now the transformation, you must be tickled to see what it's become and what people can enjoy here.
This is exceeded my wildest dreams. I stood here with the commissioners, members from the Wayne Memorial Hospital, and members of the Lackawaxen River Trail Group in 2020, actually, before the pandemic happened, probably around January. And this area where we're standing was full of detritus, trees, trash, and there was a building, the EMS building, that the Wayne Memorial Hospital was housing their ambulance in. And it had a huge crack through it. Some of that building was more or less falling into the river. And we sketched some stuff on plans. We more or less knew what it was going to look like, but this site is just turned out fantastic. It is married and made for what we're doing here, from the Stone Dust Trail to the picnic area. And I also want to thank, if I can, Stefersky Paving, the contractor of record for the project.
Let's just say this for on a podcast, though. They're here right now putting the finishing touches on. So, they're doing all the little bits of, like you said, maintenance work before it's finalized. But they've done a really great job.
Oh, yeah. And I felt for them, and I just thought it was awesome that they could have put orange fencing up and locked this site down and not let anybody out on the river or in the space. Mm-hmm. And they're here working, and people were, the second the stair set was put in, walking down the stair set, there's no handrails. I'm like, oh, someone's going to get hurt. When we paved the launch, the boat launch going down, a person pulled up with a float boat, and we were putting the paving down, so we all helped them carry the float boat down to the river and said, enjoy this. Give us another month. But it's just been fantastic. I can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like what we have here has possibly, from the standpoint of generations before, been overlooked. You've got the confluence of the Divery Creek and the Lackawaxen River. Two great fisheries, two great opportunities for recreation. But really, people fished here a little bit. Mm-hmm. People would put in sometimes in the river and head down river from here. But now this is designed with a thought in mind that we have ADA accessibility. You have placemaking features here. You have historical kind of signage to talk about what was here and the wildlife as well.
Yep. People of all creeds, all abilities can get to almost every square inch of this property. And this property was absolutely ignored in the past. Yeah. We have the confluence. We had incredible industry here, from the box factories, a glass factory, and distribution yard was here. They used to have a fountain over by the Church Street Bridge. They used to ice skate here in the 20s and 30s out in the river. There was a dam around the corner, and then it just kind of went by the wayside, and we all kind of ignored it. And now this is the first step, and it is a big base step towards making this a beautiful, visible green corridor bisecting town and Main Street.
So those are some of the things that I want to kind of pull out here, is that not only have you guys created, a multimodal kind of location here too, but the imprints too that you've left here in the concrete as well. There's art from Jeff George, who was one of the original kind of inspirations of taking what this was and transforming it into something amazing.
Yeah, actually, Jeff George did a lot of our work inspiring people from the get-go, identifying this as a possible public site that could be developed into something greater and as beautiful as the community, and then get people access to the river who don't otherwise have it. There's a lot of homes on North Main that don't have access to the river. There's a lot of homes up on Terrace Street, and now the public can come down here when they see fit and enjoy the river. We have, and they're taken from the 2022 Lackawaxen River Trails fundraising poster. They're different flora and fauna pieces of art.
Yeah, you were mentioning about the fundraising poster that Jeff had created. Jeff is an artist in town who's done murals that are on sides of buildings here, both artistic, renderings, but also historical features as well. And these are really his artwork that's baked in here into this project at Sycamore Point and in White Mills.
Exactly. And I think to Jeff, wherever he does a mural or any of his art, it's extremely respectful and tied to whatever immediate item it's on or the immediate surrounding neighborhood. Yeah. And so he did the 2022 Lackawaxen River Trails poster. It allowed that group to raise funding for this park and White Mills and some of the other trails they're trying to make around town. But we took those, we were able to make those into a vectorized magnesium stamp for concrete, and we've added those in different parts of the trail, and you can see those, they're flora and fauna that are native to this river. And it's just beautiful to be able to, although we poured some concrete here, to be able to tie even deeper into those trout, have children learn about eastern box turtles, all this stuff. A couple other points I'd like to mention too. We did put a stamp in, oriented, of the west branch of the Lackawaxen River and the Divery Creek coming together from their two respective dams. And you can see where you are in that watershed if you sit on one of the benches in the picnic area. It's absolutely fantastic. So,
in Sycamore Point, because there's pre-existing sycamore trees here, you've planted some sycamores and some other trees as well here. So it'll be giving shade for years and years and years to come for people here who come from all over the map.
Sure. And I love that we were able to put some trees in here. A couple of them are a little closer together than we would have liked, but we knew that, we weren't going to be able to ship in $40,000 fully grown oak trees or sycamore trees or maple trees. So we're able to have that initial punch, have some events here, and I'm sure in 10, 15 years, they will grow and really hit a stride of what we really wanted them to be from day one. But
that's awesome, Jason.
Yeah.
I also want to talk to you too, because you have been involved in not just, the development of the River Trail Network, which is the White Mills access that was dedicated last year there, right along Route 6 in Lackawaxen there, but also too, here in our hometown, we both grew up here, and knowing that this park and river access has been created now, it's not going to be just here in a vacuum because of the other projects you guys are working on in the Greater Honesdale Partnership. Just another block towards downtown, there's a plan to create a river park connector between Main Street and this Sycamore Point Park.
That's right. The Greater Honesdale Partnership has been working with the borough and our team at Woodland Design to get a design and fund a really nice public space that would extend 12th Street as a walkway, kind of promenade up towards Main Street and connect it with Main Street. So working on this greenway, the Store Bridge complex on the other side, Wayne Memorial Hospital, and a bridge on the other side to their parking lot. And we're really just fortifying this with all different modes of transportation, whether folks own a car or not, to get into this space. You also mentioned that it's not a vacuum in the sense that this is now all, in my eyes, a living thing that we are going to hand over to the public and the commissioners, the county, and the community. And believe it or not, next year if we came out here, Jim, I'm sure there might be some parts of this that are broken or bent. It will need to be maintained, and we're already conjuring ownership with so many people. And I have to be thankful to the Rotary, who's adopted the picnic area, Lackawaxen River Trails, who is going to police this and just be around here all the time using it, and all the people who live around here that are happy with the project. And it's going to have to be maintained and worked on for hopefully as long as our lives. And I hope it sticks around. And I'm not opposed to it changing too and adapting over time.
But it's your baby, and now you can
It is my baby. I'm very, very passionate. I'm just so thrilled that it turned out this way. And
Awesome. Jason Wood of Woodland Design Associates, you guys have done such a great amount of work, and there's still plenty more to go here in Wayne County. Thanks for joining us here on Pocono Mountains Podcast.
Thank you so much, Jim. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
Thank you. Lackawaxen River Trails, with one more launch planned between Honesdale and White Mills in Indian Orchard. To find out more, head to lackawaxenrivertrails.org. Thanks for listening to Pocono Mountains Podcast. We'll have a new episode each week highlighting lots of the fun things you can experience while you're visiting the Poconos. Subscribe and leave a review and/or comment on whatever platform you listen.
Backed by popular demand at the Wayne County Fairgrounds.
Come to the second annual Honesdale Beer and Wine Fest.
Presented by Honesdale Rotary.
Sunday, October 13th, and we got tons of food vendors too.
Let's not forget about the ton of breweries that we have here and fantastic beer.
And don't forget about the wineries and distilleries.
Live music. 3 amazing bands.
Get your tickets at HonesdaleBeerAndWineFest.com.
We're back. Thanks for listening to Pocono Mountains Podcast. I'm Jim Hamill. Now for a Pocono Mountains Podcast Extra. October marks 4 years since we started the monthly Pocono Mountains magazine. We covered a few topics in that first show, from Pick Up the Poconos to fall foliage, also Hispanic Heritage Month. Here's a listen to that show from 4 years ago as we currently celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. Enjoy. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on Pocono Perspectives within the first episode of Pocono Mountains Magazine. We are so grateful you're joining us here on the program, and this month we are talking about Hispanic Heritage Month. We are right smack dab in the middle of Hispanic Heritage Month, going from September 15th to October 15th. This celebration started back in the 1960s, and President Johnson brought it into law, and then in the 1980s, under the Reagan administration, it was expanded to an entire month. And so we wanted to delve into the Hispanic culture and issues that are facing folks today in the Pocono Mountain region. And joining us today, I have 5 guests here with me today, all folks who know quite a bit about the heritage and the current day culture here in the Pocono Mountains. To my left, Christina Luna with Hola Christina Luna. She's a force to be reckoned with here in the Pocono Mountains and really is a wonderful companion and partner to us here with the community in the Poconos, as well as to her left, Professor Anthony Stevens Arroyo. He's a retired professor, but you wouldn't know it because he knows so much, really about everything. And then you've got Dr. Demary Bonilla. She is with the Governor's Action Committee for Latino Affairs.
I was testing you. It's the Governor's Advisory Commission on
Advisory
Latino
Commission.
Affairs, but that was close enough.
I was so close, so close.
It's so long, that's why they call it GA.
Gakla. Yes.
Make it easier, right? Make it easier. And to my right, we have a former warrior and a current warrior here. Alina Morales is a graduate of ESU, and Dushan Chacon, we also call him Fluffy, but he is a current student here and the president of the Latin American Association on campus. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on Pocono Perspectives. I wanted to first ask you, Professor, a little bit about the history of the Hispanic peoples as it relates to something I found fascinating in one of our discussions. You know, there's a lot of people who believe, and there's certainly a lot of background to support it, that immigrants, you know, came from many different countries here to form the United States, but there were a lot of Hispanic peoples already here on the continental U.S., right?
Right, and that's the unique thing about Latinos. We were here first in terms of Columbus and our heritage from Spain. And the development and the history is very different sometimes from what people imaged for immigrants. The largest acquisition, so to speak, of Latinos was in 1848, when 40% of Mexico became California, Texas, New Mexico, and so forth. And then 100% of Puerto Rico in 1898. So there's a unique quality to Latinos that we were here already. We had already built our cities, we had already created our cultures. And so our role of coming to the United States is different from a person that got on a boat and saw their homeland get smaller and the Statue of Liberty get larger. And the wonderful thing about the Hispanic Heritage Month is we get a chance to recognize the difference. It's not something that makes us better, it just makes us different. And understanding those differences is what gives us life and vitality. What unites the Puerto Ricans, the Mexicans, the people that come in now from other countries of Latin America is that wonderful Hispanic culture. So we talked to Spain, Madre España, with Cristina. But that language and that culture became a base for something even better. It's like if you had a cauldron and you were making a stew, you put a little bit of this, a little bit of that, Indian, African, Spanish, Portuguese, whatever, and when it comes out, it's this sancocho, yes, sabroso.
And Cristina, you are from Spain. You live now in the Pocono Mountains, and you do a lot of work to bring cultures together, to bring people together in the community. Tell me what it is to celebrate this month together with people who are now your extended family in the Poconos.
Yes, you're right, correct. They're my extended family. I think that what I like to do is to bring the different cultures together, because there's so much to celebrate about the things that we share and so much that we don't share, but because they come from our original cultures. So I can bring paella, things about our culture in Spain. I learned so much about Puerto Rico, Colombia, Ecuador, Mexico, Dominican Republic. I mean, so many places, and I think it's unique to bring it and celebrate it, not only between us, but with all the community. So that's why we're here, to celebrate with you too.
And we're grateful to have you here. This is a wonderful opportunity to bring everybody together to discuss maybe even current day issues. Dr. Bonilla, you're on the forefront of some of those issues throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, as well as right here in the Pocono Mountains. So it's extremely important to have folks from Latino backgrounds, Hispanic backgrounds, to be involved in the community and society, right?
Absolutely. So GACLA, the Governor's Advisory Commission on Latino Affairs, has existed in the Commonwealth since the 1960s, and it is a nonpartisan organization regardless of who is in office. The role of the commission is to be the eyes and ears of the governor in terms of Hispanic affairs across the Commonwealth. I'm proud to represent the Poconos region, and we had not had a commissioner there since 2008. And I was just appointed, this is my third year, in 2017. And so the role is to talk about what are the issues around workforce development, around quality education, around the pay gap, and the issues that our community is facing, particularly at a time of crisis when we see some of those disparities get larger and need to be a voice for our community in a way that they haven't been represented, because they're facing issues and feel like nobody's listening on a day-to-day. And therefore, we're able to work together with organizations like the Visitors Bureau and Flecha and others to identify what are those critical issues, what are the necessary resources, and then get back to the governor's team and the governor and say, these are the issues that we're facing, this is what we need for our people, and be that liaison between government and everyday individuals that need support.
And turning to kind of a younger generation, so to speak, you folks have come through undergraduate school and now are out in the world. You have, your first job out of school. You're still on campus here, Dushan. So being part of the younger generation in the Hispanics for the Pocono Mountains, what have you guys seen just from your perspective as it relates to the long progression of involvement in the community?
I would say that a lot of Latinos, especially in higher education, a lot of us are first generation. I can speak for myself. I'm first generation Dominican and Puerto Rican. So even just like in higher education, though, there's a lack of representation, right? Because like a lot of us don't necessarily, we start out in those urban communities, then we're able to find our way through America. But even still, like we're one of like how many, And I was blessed and grateful enough to be that that Latina who didn't necessarily have to struggle through college. I joined a sorority immediately as soon as I got to college, Mu Sigma Epsilon Sorority Incorporated, the first multicultural sorority. I was able to get involved, find people, find friends, but a lot of Latinos, they don't, right? Because they don't, hear their music or hear their culture, hear their language, right? Like it's a little bit of a struggle, right? And I remember my junior year, I was going through an identity crisis. I'm just like, I don't feel Latina enough. I don't speak Spanish. What is going on? Like, and it was hard, and it's hard, especially when you're young, you're going through college, you're trying to, be a professional as well, but also stay true to yourself. That's difficult and it's hard. But I always just say like we have to get through it and we have to keep fighting, because if I'm not the leader that's gonna fight for other people, then who will?
Dushan, I see you shaking your head. Yes, you agree entirely.
100% agree with her, because for me, I'm from New York originally, and as she mentioned, there's been so much struggles for us throughout the education styles. So thank God I have my mom and dad as one of my, mentors basically, and pushing me to do school and don't quit no matter what, because at one time, my point, I went to one of the college in New York and I didn't do that well because I didn't have that much of a representation right there. So it took to the point that where I finally moved to PA and went to ESU, East Stroudsburg University, I finally learned that wow, this is Latin culture. This is what I gotta learn. And joining LA, Latin American Association, is gonna making me teach my styles, my experience to everybody else, and showing them our culture behind, from the food to the music, find the rhythm, the taste of the flavors of the food, all that stuff is passion.
And we'll be getting to some food a little bit later. It'll be delectable, I promise. But I also want to bring up the fact that this is a very interesting history for Hispanics in the Pocono Mountains. There was a time frame where the first wave really came, Tony, in the 70s, and then the 80s for opportunity. And we wanted to take a look at a piece that we did at the Historical Society with you and Christina, revolving around trying to cement now the history of Hispanics in the Poconos, which again will help future generations understand that there is a long story arc here and a foundation for who we are today here in the Poconos.
What I wanted to say is that example of the pot and the stew and so forth, a lot of folks had the food to put inside, but who brought the pot? And that's the organization. The organization creates the atmosphere, the opportunity for everybody to enrich each other. And so Flecha is the one that's doing it now, but there are others, and as we brought out with history, the first one started at ESU.
Right here on campus. When we talk about the past and the present and the future all being intertwined, we have to talk about this being 2020 and a pretty pivotal year. Dr. Bonilla, you said it's really important for people to get out and be participants in their society and in their government, right?
Absolutely. I've done a lot of talks recently about the importance of civic engagement, and we want to encourage our community to be engaged. The Latino electoral is a critical component in this year's election. Politics aside, it's an opportunity for your voice to be heard. And I always say your vote is your voice. And so it's important that people get out and register. It's important that people use their opportunity to speak. I know firsthand because I was the first Hispanic elected to the East Stroudsburg Area School District School Board in November of last year. And there was nobody at the table that was talking about educational issues related to the Latino community in the way that I can speak to that from firsthand experience. So I just want everybody to understand that you have to register, you have to vote. It's important to be civically engaged, and your voice matters and your vote matters.
And for students, recent graduates, do you feel like family and friends are very engaged this year, more so than ever?
Yes. I honestly believe that we need to be the agents of change within our communities, within our families. You know, a lot of the older generations, they have, you know, you can't teach old dog new tricks, right? But no, regardless, be that agent of change. Look crazy until it makes sense, because it will make sense. So
wonderful.
And I agree too, because hopefully I'm going to influence, because I'm a peer mentor in ESU, one of my many mentees, to go out and vote, because it's this time to make this big change.
Quite the Hispanic Heritage Month for everyone here. Thank you for joining us here on Pocono Mountains Magazine and Pocono Perspectives. Now I want to serenade us with a lovely performance from one of the local musicians. Liliana, please play us a song.
Me fui de allí, muy lejos, queriéndome alejar, dejar la soledad de aquella gran ciudad. Pa' no escuchar su ruido me puse a caminar, dejé mi identidad y al campo fui a parar. Como brilla aquí el amanecer, esto sí es un día. Yo me llamo Cumbia, yo soy la reina por donde voy. No hay una cadera que se esté quieta donde yo estoy. Mi piel es morena como los cueros de mi tambor.
That was Colombian singer-songwriter Liliana serenading us here on Pocono Mountains Magazine. And welcome back to Pocono Perspectives. And we've just feasted on some wonderful music, Hispanic music, now some Hispanic food. I'm joined with Christina Luna. I'm joined with Emilio from Emilio's Place in Bartonsville, and Julio from Llama Ice Cream in East Stroudsburg on River Road. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here. This smells fantastic. And Christina, you've sampled these often. Tell me just how delectable these dishes are.
This is wonderful. I'm so glad you came here and to share it with all of you. We have a lot of Hispanic food here in the Poconos that you can enjoy, and we're celebrating the Hispanic Heritage Month. So I asked my friends, Emilio and Julio, to bring some different foods and desserts. So we are featuring here Puerto Rico, Peru, and Latin flavors in ice cream. How's that?
And we've sampled this ice cream before. I'd rather get right to the ice cream, but we want to go with the main courses first.
Start with the main course,
Main
please.
course, right. Emilio, you have prepared a couple dishes for us here, and they look so flavorful and so colorful. Tell me what you have here for us.
Right here, first of all, thank you for having us here. It's, for the opportunity to be here. It's an amazing thing. It's a beautiful experience. This is the stewed chicken. It comes with vegetable. We really clean the chicken very well, taking all the fat out. So it's a very healthy dish. It comes with white rice, and it comes with beans as well. Just the beans is missing there. And we have the mofongo. It's a Puerto Rican, very famous Puerto Rican food in Puerto Rico. It comes from, technically speaking, from Africa, with the slave, with the Spanish, went into the island, and they brought it in, and the Puerto Ricans adopted it as the main dish in Puerto Rico. And we have the pulled pork. This is the best-selling dish at Emilio's Place. Everybody goes for that. And it comes with any rice you want. And the empanadas that we have there, I sell a lot of those.
No doubt about that. They smell delicious too.
And we have, of course, we have the Spanish dessert. We have the tres leches, and we have the flan. Everybody.
You brought flan, Emilio.
Yes,
That's
I did.
amazing.
Is that your favorite?
Tres leches. I mean, you have to taste this. You have never tasted it before. It's amazing. You will love it. And you will repeat and repeat and repeat.
That's what restaurant owners hope, I would imagine.
second,
Come
third,
back
fourth.
more and more, right?
Seconds, thirds, fourths, right?
Absolutely. And you talk about, too, this is a very important part of Hispanic culture and heritage is both the music and the food and the celebration. And that's what we're in the middle of right now, which is Hispanic Heritage Month. So you can imagine that this has significant meaning to your cultures and your backgrounds, right?
Yes.
It does. Just have to tell you something, and you guys too. If you go to a Spanish fiesta somewhere in a house or in a restaurant, there's no end hour, okay? We know when we start, but we never know when it ends.
Right.
So be ready for that. Don't make another appointment later. We just feast with music and food and good conversation and dancing.
You had me at dancing and food, believe me, but one before the other, of course. And this is from Inti, then, which is right next door to Llama Ice Cream.
Yes, exactly.
Would you mind, please, Julio, just
Of
describing
course.
what dinner's here?
Yes.
These are Peruvian dishes.
It's a Peruvian dish. First, thank you also for the invitation.
Sure.
We have a restaurant, Inti Cuisine, for 11 years in East Strasbourg. And this one is a we call papa la huancaína. It's just a potato with a Peruvian famous sauce made with cheese and some Peruvian yellow pepper. And the potatoes are original for the Andes, from Peru. And we use the potatoes for many dishes. And also, we have some salmon here with the sparrows, also from Peru. And we have a big Pacific coast in Peru, and we have a lot of seafood. We have a rich coast with a lot of seafood, and we make this delicious dish also with passion fruit sauce. Oh. We have a lot of passion fruit in the forest, and we use it for we make passion fruit ice cream, passion fruit in your food, in everywhere,
Wow. This looks delightful.
James, I think Julio's from Peru, but let's make sure he's from Peru. Shall we test him?
We can test him.
How many varieties of potatoes are there in Peru?
More like 2,000.
Oh,
2,000 varieties of potato.
Yes.
He is Peruvian.
That's true. True, absolutely. And when we're finished with the main course here, we can always move on to something a little sweeter.
Different.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
What do you have for us here?
We have also the ice cream shop in Lama, of course, and we use many tropical flavors to make ice cream. And today I brought passion fruit ice cream and sour sop. The sour sop is from Colombia, and the passion fruit is from Peru. This special fruit, but it's growing in all South America.
Very nice, very nice. So when you want to invite people in to your restaurants, maybe for the first time, describe to me just the differentiation in the flavors. They're a little bit more flavorful, right, than the normal dish that people might prepare at home.
I believe the Latin food there's a lot of variety, and every Latin food is good. I live in New York for so many years. I'm from Guatemala, and I thought Guatemala was the only best food. But New York City was the best school ever for me to understand that Latin food, it can offer a lot of variety and a lot of flavor. So there's no better than the other. We all ship into Britain. So when they asked me why you didn't open up a restaurant where all the Spanish people is, I said, no, I wasn't looking for that. I was looking to bring our food into a new culture. So when other cultures come into my restaurant and they look at the food and they don't know how it is, it's just have a little taste of it, and they taste it and they get hooked up and they come back to the restaurant. That's how I invite them to something that is unknown to them, but is well known to me. And I know my wife and I, we love Peruvian food, we love Colombian food, we love Dominican food, and even American food, and that's how we started. But that's how we invite people in to try that food.
And Christina, you've noted too that the Poconos now is becoming a rich ground for a lot of different Hispanic food. So you don't have just Peruvian or Puerto Rican. You have plenty of other dishes that you can sample as you make your way through the 4 counties of the Poconos.
That's true, James. I have to tell you a secret. I'm from Spain, so Spain is there in Europe on the other side. And I discovered Latin American and all the Hispanic foods in the Poconos, really. Because there are so many restaurants, there are so many cultures, there are so many people from different countries and cultures, and they bring all these flavors. So I discovered it here. Thank you guys for bringing all this food here.
This has really been a wonderful, I can't wait to dive in.
Let's start.
Yes,
time to eat.
Absolutely. There's ice cream for our dessert. There's plenty of these empanadas and Peruvian dishes and flan as well. Ooh, Julio's pulling out the
some
here.
ice cream.
Oh, this is my favorite. This is for me.
Yes.
All right.
I put some homemade chocolate.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. Emilio's Place in Bartonville. Emilio, thank you for joining us. Julio with Llama
Anytime.
Ice Cream and Inti right next door.
Thank you.
In East Stroudsburg, and of course, Christina Luna with Hola Christina Luna. I am Jim Hamill, and we thank you so much to our sponsors and to everybody else who made this segment possible. We appreciate you watching, and we'll be right back with more of the program.
Con un guayabo llegué a la Y, emparrandao a Sagún enteré. Con un guayabo llegué a la Y, emparrandao a Sagún enteré. Y las muchachas como lloraban cuando me fui para Cereté. Y las muchachas como lloraban cuando me fui para Cereté. Mediodía que estuve pensando, mediodía que estuve pensando en la mujer que me hacía soñar. Las aguas claras del río Tocaimo me dieron fuerzas para cantar. Llegó de pronto a mi pensamiento esta bella melodía. Cuando Matilde camina, hasta sonríe la sabana. Cuando Matilde camina, hasta sonríe la sabana.
Wishing everyone a very enjoyable Hispanic Heritage Month running through the middle of October. We hope you enjoyed Pocono Mountains podcast, everyone. Please remember to subscribe anywhere podcasts are available. Come visit us in the Pocono Mountains. Plan your trip today.